Hey, folks, welcome back to Money and Politics. And we're going to be talking again today, as we did just about a week ago with Scott Kugelman from Atlanta. We talked to him on April 9. We're recording this on April 17. And Scott was the one that we spoke to about investing in the ETXs. And Scott, thanks for being back with us. I wanted to follow up with you. Now that you were the as a reminder to the audience, the ETXs had just come out, and you had been one of the early investors in that. And so I wanted to talk to you, and you told us that you had invested in a number of things. And now a week later, why don't you just give us a brief update? It's not been a long time, but
No,
how's it going? Let's say 1 week in.
sure. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me back. It's been great. Yeah, as we talked last week, I made the decision to invest in the ETXs. I felt like this was a great opportunity to, support one of the products that Humbl was launching in the United States. And the first purchase I made was on the Block 5. And as of this morning, I have a 16.98% return or gain on my initial investment in the Block
So
5.
almost 17%
Almost
in
17% on the
in
Block.
about a week.
I actually started that on April the 8th. So I guess it's 9 days. Almost a 17% return. And then 1 week ago today, I made a investment in the Block 3, and my return for 1 week is 14.23%
Wow.
on the Block 3.
Do you know what's in Block 5 and Block 3? Do you know what makes those up?
Yes, I do. The Block 3 is the portfolio distribution on that is 50% Bitcoin. It is 25% Litecoin and 25% Digibyte. And the Block 5 is, let me just look at that really quickly as we're talking. The 5 is through Bittrex is 35% Bitcoin, 25% Ethereum, percent Cardano, 10% Tezos, and 10% Digibyte. So that one has five constituent assets that make a portfolio for the Block 5, and that's the one that's returning in 9 days. I'm running at almost a 17% gain
Hmm.
on the Block 5, and on the Block 3, it's a little over 13%. So I'm absolutely satisfied. And as I told you during our first broadcast, doing this was very easy. Just to refresh the audience, you do have to get set up on one of the exchanges, either Coinbase Pro or Bittrex or Binance US. So you have to get yourself set up with them. But once you do that, the transaction is very, very easy. Matter of fact, when I bought the Block 3 last week at visiting some relatives in Charlotte, and we were sitting outside, and I said, I'm gonna buy another block. And I literally did it at a family barbecue last Saturday afternoon around this time. It's great. I love it. You can do it 24 hours a day, unlike the
When you
stock
did that,
market.
did you do it with your laptop?
I did it on my phone.
You did
I
it on
did it
your
all.
phone. Okay.
Yeah, I
So
did it
you
all on
don't
my
need the
phone.
app. Now, as we record that, the app just came out yesterday on the 16th. I guess you were able to access your Bittrex account or whatever through your phone and then do it that way.
Correct, and through Humble Pay,
Oh,
I just
Humble
had
Pay, right?
I bookmarked the site because, as you mentioned, the app was not released yet. So I bookmarked the site, and then I just did it right on my phone. Now, as you said, with the exciting news of yesterday, with the app being released, you actually can get you can do the transaction, the ETX transaction through the app. I noticed that because I downloaded the app like watching this broadcast right now. I downloaded the app yesterday at about 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I noticed that one of the things you can do is you can do an ETX trade right on the app, which is very, very exciting.
And that's one thing I wanted to ask you. I had a little trouble downloading. wasn't it, it was my end. I hadn't updated my Apple software. So if you're out there and unable to, I couldn't find the app, but it wasn't available until I updated my Apple software, which I had been putting off. So that
I
encouraged me
think,
to do it, and that was a problem.
yeah, I think there was a lot of excitement around this, as everyone knows, and I think between 5 p.m. Eastern time, give or take, and maybe about 7 p.m., I think they had some little glitches with the apps, but I know around 7 o'clock, I saw a lot of our Humble Nation was getting the app downloaded. So I think initially there was just a little bit of a problem with the search on. I use an Apple product as well, so on the App Store, for example, I think there was a little bit of an issue, but I think they got it worked out in about 2 hours. About 7 o'clock last night Eastern time, I think everyone was having no trouble downloading the app. So the app looks great. I haven't played around with it that much. Of course, I set up a portfolio, set up a profile with my username and my name, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia, as you said at the top of the telecast, and I started searching around, and it's been amazing to see the businesses that have actually been put into the app already, just right here in Atlanta. I saw several businesses, coffee shops, and some other types of service businesses that were actually put into the app already. So I'm sure everyone out there is really feeling positive about the app.
You know, and it's this is happening in real time. And the thing is, like you said, I'm in a much smaller community in central Illinois than Atlanta, Georgia, which is obviously major. But even here in, like a 20-mile radius, there's a lot of merchants that they signed up. So I didn't know. That's one thing I think is interesting. I didn't know how long that would take for them to sign up merchants. Now, we can't pay yet. I think the pay aspect is coming later. Somebody sent me, let me bring this in. Somebody sent me this app. It was on StockTwits, but it's kind of in blue, what has already happened? What has Humbl accomplished? So you got Humbl Merchant, we're talking about that, right? And you got Marketplace, Financial Pay, and people can read this here, Tickery. And then yet coming up this month, we have peer-to-peer. So that would be a pay aspect that would be coming up very quickly, I guess. NFTs, which I'm still trying to get my head around that. And then you can see the rest if you can read that. Credit cards, personal loans, title assurance, and those are in the second quarters. And then third quarter, government requests for proposals, banking in the third quarter, and then wireless merchant partners. So I haven't had a chance because I was a little late in getting it on the app, as you say, to play around with it. Did you find anything particularly interesting, Scott, that you thought was cool that you were able to do something with, or you didn't anticipate it being there?
Yeah, no, I really liked everything I saw I haven't taken a real deep dive into it as of yet, but from kind of the 35,000 foot view that I saw, it looked very good. I did read some commentary. I think might have been out on Twitter. One of the big followers and investors of Humbl, had made a comment about the mapping feature of it, and I'm sure that's going to address. I know that there's Brian Foote actually put out a link to almost a support link that if you have some suggestions and things like that, it could be you can make those suggestions right there. So the mapping feature looked a little slow because I was zooming in on, like you said, the Atlanta market, which is a big metropolitan market. And when you zoom in or zoom out of it, you can start seeing where the merchants, or at least have set up a profile, and have set up shop, so to speak. So, but I think, as you and I have talked, many times, this company has really really done well at delivering, and I think that they're going to listen to their shareholders, and they're going to listen to the community, the user community, and I think they're very cognizant of maybe some of the things that need to be changed with it. So, but it looks really good as of right now. I know it's being very well received on Twitter. We see a lot of our fans that follow the company and they're investing in this company. They really like what they see in the app, for the initial release. And folks, we have to keep in mind this was the first release of the app, delivered on Friday, April 16th. There was no beta. Obviously they've done a lot of testing in San Diego and around the world, and there's going to be glitches. There's going to be glitches with things, but we believe that the company is very they answer the call very quickly. So
two things. One thing I'm reminded that I believe back in December they tested the app, and they were successful in sending a payment to someone in Mexico. And I believe
correct.
that it showed up, you got dollars, but you send it to them and it arrives in pesos, where it's converted. So that's how, that they were doing it back in December. And then, as you say, Brian Foote announced that he's going to be rolling it out. He wants our feedback. So if you got feedback, folks, go ahead and, send it to Humbl. And one of the people, in fact, that I thought it was a good idea, put on the video I put out yesterday, that it would be good to have maybe a login with your thumbnail, as I kind of do with my iPhone. So that would be maybe it's the example of the kind of ideas that we, the users, can get back to Humbl on.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to, go to the Humbl webpage and, give that feedback. I was trying to pull up the link as I'm talking to you of where you actually send that, because I know a few people specifically on Twitter have actually put that out there. And I know the company wants our feedback. They want the feedback. So, yeah, I would encourage people to, go to the website and give the feedback about the app.
And, then the thing that strikes me, Scott, is everyone is like lamenting, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people are lamenting the stock price, which is down, I think it's like 265, right? I don't have it in front of me here. But what strikes me is when you look at all the services, just to bring this up quickly again, that Humbl will be doing and is doing now, right? So when we talk about also the the ETXs, and this is $5 a month, and when you look at the ETXs, I'd like to know, I'm curious, how many people are now subscribing here at $5 a month. Is it 30,000? Is it 50,000? Because this is now, as as we talked, you've gotten into it. I need to sign up with one of the Coinbase or Bittrex or whatever. But it makes me think, we're going to have, I think, some substantial growth right now. And we talk about the growth, and people are like lamenting the stock price. And I have to always remind them in these videos that, folks, we just finished the very first quarter. The company didn't exist until like December when they did their merger. And now they've got Tickery, and now they got the ETXs out, and now they got the app out. When you think that they've done this all in 3 months, they're moving, I think, at warp speed. The price will catch up to the action. And,
I believe that. Yep, I believe that to be true. And yeah, like you said, they're delivering on a lot of different things. Everything that Brian has said that they're going to deliver on, I think they've met the expectation of the investor community and of their business plan. And it's exciting to see. And I'm really anxious myself to see how many subscribers that they actually have to the ETX, because I see on Twitter and I see in some other places that there's a lot of people that are adapting to the ETX, and they're giving it a try, so to speak. And as we as I shared, the returns have been really really good. I've been in it for 9 days in block 5 and 7 days in block 3, and I'm getting ready to buy another block. Either this weekend or early on Monday. And it's been like 17% and 14% respectively. That's unbelievable. The customer support. Many of you might know Rebecca, who's on Twitter. She's a big Humbl supporter. She said, if you're having issues with the app, or do you have a creative idea to share, of course, Humbl wants to hear about it through email customer support. And there's a link. It's humblepay.zendesk, that's ZenDesk.com/HC, H as in Harry, C as in Charlie, /EN, like E like Edward, N like Nancy, -US. I know that's a lot there, but it's humblepay.zendesk.com/HC/EN-US. And you just sign in with your email address, and you'll see a form there to input that information. So I would suggest, as all the viewers here are playing around with the app, if you have some suggestions or you see a little glitch, to use that link that I just brought up, told you about, to give some feedback. And this company has been very open to feedback.
Oh, well, thanks for doing that.
Sure.
I don't have a graphic prepared. I would have brought it up, but I can, excuse me, write that down when I post this. I can have it in the description. So hopefully that'll be helpful for you too. And I appreciate that, Scott. So we won't keep you much longer. I just think, we'll have to obviously see as we go along on the ETXs, are these extraordinary returns going to hold up? It's certainly exciting. It's a good thing it's not down 20%, right?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, and the nice thing about it is it's almost like a portfolio. It's almost like a mutual fund. Like he's talked in some of his present. I'm getting a certain percentage of Bitcoin. I'm getting a certain percentage of Litecoin. I'm getting a certain percentage of Byte. Digibyte, I know it's been a hot topic, with this Dogecoin that's just kind of exploded, but and it's kind of it's kind of come back a little bit today. But Digibyte, as I mentioned in our first interview, Digibyte has been, is a very stable, cryptocurrency. They've been around for 7 years. It's, they, again, one of their taglines, if you look them up, is that they're 40 times faster than Bitcoin, and their decentralization. Learning a lot about as we go along with the digital asset investment. So Digibyte over the last couple of days has gone from kind of the mid 9-cent range to, I think it's about 12 or 13 cents. So they've had a nice little increase as well. But yeah, so I just encourage people to try it. Just make a small investment. Some of the blocks you can get into for a small amount of money, a modest amount of money, and just keep an eye on it.
What are the minimums? Do you remember? And I think it varies by which block you're in.
Correct. It does. It does. I think the block 3 about $150 US. The block 5 was about 370, call it US. Does fluctuate, I guess, based on concern. And then the block 10 is, a little bit more of an investment. The block 10 was in the I'm going to call it $750 range was the initial investment. And then on some of the thematic products, kind of the same ranges as well. So anywhere from about $150 on the low end to about $700. So, that is, that's not a small amount of money for people to invest. But like you said, the returns, have been great. And I guess time will tell to see if we can to maintain this level of return. I'm certainly excited about it. And I know you and I will stay in touch, and I'll keep you abreast of how things are going with them.
Yeah, block 5 is the number one as I'm looking at this as far as returns in the 6-month and 12-month category, with 6 months, 765.5%, and 12 months, a mere 2,082%, Scott. So it's like,
Yeah, and the block 10 is, that has the largest composition as they describe it on the website. The portfolio on that is it's there's 10 different digital assets you get, and I won't go through all of them. But what I like about Humbl too is, for a lot of us, this is new. This digital asset investing, they really show you what the portfolio composition is when you go onto the website and now the app. They show you what the holdings are, what percentages. They talk about the methodology. They talk about the periodic rebalancing on these things. So again, I'm really really excited as to what they're delivering to us, the investors, and what they're delivering to the marketplace.
I am reminded when I was, in high school or whatever grade school, I think even, the advertising for MasterCard and Visa back around 1968 or so. And I bring that up. In other words, there was a time when people, a lot of people don't even remember this now because it's been 50 years, but there weren't credit cards, and we
Right.
went from cash to the first credit card, as I recall, was Diners Club because some guy went out in New York and forgot his wallet at home and then thought, isn't this ridiculous? I have to walk around with all this cash on me
Yeah.
to pay for dinner. So he came up with this idea of using a credit card, which hadn't existed. And because he thought about it in terms of the dinner, he called it Diners Club, and that's where we started. And then they said,
Yeah.
well, what if we use this for everything? And then that's where the banks, they created the Visa and MasterCard. And I bring this up because what we're seeing today now with Humbl's app and the ETXs is historically, I'm comparing it to what I saw happen as a kid, and which we just now, people like my son and the people in their 30s and 20s and below, there was never a time in their life when there wasn't credit cards. So America went back in the early 60s, transition from an all cash or check society to these other forms of payment. A lot of the world doesn't have that. And that's what Humbl is bringing to the rest of the world. And as a business venture that we can participate in, it's not just the ETXs, it's now the app, which has come out as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And in the United States, Canada, New Zealand, and I believe Singapore was the first rollout. So they're going to get their feedback. And I just think, what an exciting company. And folks, as far as the price, I think, again, we'll catch up. And the other thing is that this is a very scalable company. I mean, how many people around the world can sign up and pay $5 for an ETX? Or when they're doing these transactions, there's going to be a fee, but they're going to be saving money compared to using Western Union and other services that charge so much.
Correct.
I
Yeah. I'm looking at my calculator on my computer, and if they had 50,000 ETX customers, and I don't know if that's high or low or what, but at $4.99 a month, that's $250,000. That's $250,000 of revenue, just on that ETX product alone. And I think 50,000. I don't know. I don't know if it's low or high or what, but it
Well, it
seems
wouldn't be
like
hard
there's
to
a
believe
lot of.
that at a certain point, I don't know how soon it would be, they'd have 1 million customers. I mean, you're talking around the world. So that's not
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
believe. That would be $5 million a month, $60 million a year just on that. And then you have every time they do the transaction, they're paying. I mean, then they're also like Visa when we get with the app where we can be paying merchants or sending peer to peer, plus Tickery, and that business. It's an exciting time that we're seeing this. I think will be a major business, and it is, growing up and coming to be reality right before our eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thank you for having me on again, and I'd be more than happy to be kind of posted on how my ETX portfolio continues to go. I'm sure there'll be ups and downs, just like we experience in the stock market. So, we'll share the good and the bad, but I've been very satisfied to this point, and it's a great day to be an investor in this company.
Well, Scott, we thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, I called Scott back because he and I connected already, and I wanted to follow up with him. But I'd be happy to talk to others too. And if you want to reach out to me, I don't have my email graphic right on this page here, but it's moneyinpoliticsnow@gmail. So if you want to be interviewed on a topic, as we did with Scott, let me know. Scott, thanks for joining us. The ebb and flow of the broadband connection, it's another thing hopefully they can do with all this money they're spending on infrastructure. We can goose our connectivity so we don't freeze up. Then we'll be talking about it. Remember in the old days when we used to freeze up?
That's right. All right. Well, have a good.
But
have a
thanks
good
for
weekend.
joining us on a Saturday, and hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
Okay. Take care. Bye bye now.